My sincerest respect to our Regional Director, RD Alan G. Farnazo, Assistant Regional Director Maria Ines C. Asuncion, HRDD Chief Attorney Ben Masungkad, participants to this activity, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to share with you my scholarship journey, a memorable experience that I always consider as one of the best things that happened in my life. Given the limited time allotment, I decided to talk to you about 3 things to better describe my journey 2 decades ago. I will talk to you about screening, training, and perks. On screening, I consider the screening as the most important phase of any scholarship because how can someone share about scholarship experience if he or she failed to hurdle the screening process in the first place? I applied as one of the scholars of the teacher training program of Japan's Ministry of Education, Culture, Sports, Science and Technology, or simply called Monbu Kagakushu Scholar. It is an 18-month program designed for teachers who would like to broaden their learning in a certain field. The application process has 4 stages. First stage is document screening, followed by written examination. The third is interview, and fourth is screening by the chosen university. You can proceed to the next stage after passing the current stage. Let me start by affirming the adage, behind the success of a man is a woman. I experienced it firsthand because when I learned about the scholarship and told my wife about it, it was her who pushed me to apply. I hesitated because I am not confident about passing the screening. It was not a local scholarship, but a scholarship abroad. To appease my wife, I submitted my documents, and after 2 months, I received a letter from the embassy informing me that I passed the document screening. They instructed me to go to the embassy in Pasay on a certain day for the second stage, which is the written examination. Again, I tried to convince my wife that I would not proceed to the next stage because aside from the round-trip plane ticket being expensive, there was no assurance that I will pass the examination. But she told me to give it a try. So there I went. They informed the applicants that the embassy received around 2,000 applications, but a little over 100 were eligible for the second stage. Honestly, I didn't study for the exam because I thought that the examination would be more on mathematics since I applied for the teacher training in math program. To my dismay, no math item was given. The test was all grammar, correct usage, identifying errors, and reading comprehension. Luckily, I passed the examination and qualified for the third stage, which is the interview. In the interview, many questions were asked. I presented my research proposal to the panel and discussed how it would help improve the performance level of my learners. My proposed study was as simple as determining the math education in Japan and compare it to our country. I would like to know then why Japanese learners perform better in international assessment like the teams compared to our country that ranked 3rd from the bottom in 1999 assessment. I may have been able to convince them because after 2 months, I received a letter from the embassy informing me that I passed the selection process and was included in the list of Japanese scholars who would depart by October 2002. On training, before going to Japan, I had so many apprehensions because it was my first time leaving my country, my work, and my family. I first set my foot at Narita Airport after 4.5 hours of travel boarding Japanese Airlines on the first day of October 2002. My first day of class was awful because I got cold. The temperature in Morioka City dropped to 5 degrees Celsius. So even if I wore 3 jackets, the winteriness would still penetrate my skin. My headache turned from bad to worse because we were told that the allotted time for us to learn to read and write the alphabet characters was only 2 days.
Filipino Winnie yung skiwa di heaviness di mo
After learning that their hiragana and katakana have 56 characters each and their kanji has 2,000 to 3,000 characters, I almost wished to go back home. My problem was coupled with my yearning for my family and friends. Nevertheless, with the power of prayer and my determination to learn their mathematics education, I was able to overcome both my loneliness and my training. I learned to speak and read Nihongo and gained friends. Our final examination in our Japanese class was to make and present an 8-minute speech in Japanese. The title of my presentation was Philippines, Toyo no Shinjo, or Philippines, Pearl of the Orient. I told them about our country, customs and tradition, major languages, favorite sports, and famous tourist spots. As a scholar, I visited private and public schools in Iwate Prefecture. During my visits, I observed several classes ranging from preschool to university levels and had attended lectures and seminars. I was asked to assist mathematics classes in Sitakuji Junior High School. Most of their classes were team teaching. It was there that I understood why Japanese students tend to get higher scores in international assessments, because teachers really involve their learners by giving them a lot of activities. Plus, parents sent their children to remedial school after classes. They did this in preparation for the center test. This is considered as the first challenge for the students who wanted to be admitted to public college or university. This is an equivalent to NCEE in our country, which was abolished in 1994. Japanese people liked to know the history and culture of other countries. So every time I visit a school, I always talk about our culture and tradition, children's games, famous sports, and most especially Philippine fruits, particularly pineapple and banana. Whenever I asked students about the Philippines, their answer was always banana. It wowed them when I mentioned that banana plantations surrounded my hometown. They had crazy reaction when I mentioned that some were fed to the pigs. My program advisor and his family wanted to go with me when I first came home last March 2003. Everything was set, but 2 weeks before the scheduled departure, news about the bombing in Davao International Airport came in, so he changed his mind. When I asked him about coming to Davao, he would just say he was busy. But deep inside I knew he was just afraid for his safety. On perks. Government scholars have perks also. The International Student Center of Iwate University had organized trips around Japan for all foreign students every summer, autumn, winter, and spring breaks. With this, I was able to visit a lot of places. I visited the Tokyo Tower, the highest in Japan, Imperial Palace, where the Prince and Princess of Japan reside, and Diet House, where the Prime Minister and the House of Congress convene. In Aichi Prefecture, I was able to visit the Nagoya Castle, and for the first time in my life, I was able to watch a live dolphin show. I was able to enter Osaka Castle and visit the Universal Studios in Japan. I visited many other historical places. They also sponsored activities like cherry blossom viewing in spring, mountain climbing in summer, and skiing in winter. I couldn't forget my 2 winters in Morioka City. It was there where I personally experienced White Christmas and cross-country skiing. I went home last March 21, 2004. With me were the memories worth reminiscing about the warmth and comfort that the Japanese people have extended. Thank you RD, ARD, and Attorney Ben for giving this chance to share my humble experience. I am hoping that many more classroom teachers will have the courage to apply for this kind of scholarship and gain wonderful experience from it. Kokoro kara kanshia shitemasu. From the bottom of my heart, thank you very much.